Can I mic you, Jim? Can I put this mic on you real quick?
Yes. It'd be more fun if you were a young girl with big breasts. Anybody else from the?
Yeah, sure, I'll do that. That's fine.
Then it was just a few years later in Canada that I got some inside help. They were meeting somewhere in Canada where they had a big resort 40 miles from the center of some big city. And that huge resort was surrounded 3/4 by a huge lake. They could easily keep boaters off their peninsula. And then they had the high walls in front of their resort. And across a dirt road from the resort, that was only a dirt road around the resort, was a bar and grill. I walked in there one evening, and when the crew came in, the bus boys, the waiters, waitresses, as I suspected they would, as a drill, as a daily routine, bought them around a beer. Well, they're low paid, and I'm reimbursed for such ventures. So after they're down their beer, I'll tell them what my project is and ask for them to help. If they grab any papers out of trash cans that are lying around, and be my eyes and ears. And the leader of the group, a huge fella, spoke in French only to a girl interpreter. Said, "No, Bilderberg are good people. We're glad to have them. We're not going to collaborate with you in any way." Okay, but still buy them around a beer. The next day I come back, and the same guy speaking perfect English, and French and English is intermingled in that part of Canada very much. He came in and loaded with papers and said, "They're trying to bleep my country and yours too. We'll help you all we can."
Wow.
And so they brought in documents every day. And I said, "Now, don't forget to be my eyes and ears. And don't decide for yourself that this is not important. Let me decide that." And one evening, one of the young girls said, "Well, I only have something silly you don't read anymore." I said, "Tell me." But it turned out that David Rockefeller didn't have the exact right type of scotch he was drinking. So the big black limousine roars back to the airport, and somebody jumps on his private jet, flies back to his big homestead in upstate New York, got the right kind of scotch, and they flew it back. Well, that may be the most expensive scotch anybody ever drunk, but it had to have the right brand, not just any brand of scotch, not David Rockefeller.
Now, what would you say they do to get the hotel staff to protect them to the extent that they do? Because I was in the building yesterday, and when we left, the black SUV, of course, followed me out, got my tag, and the woman comes out literally begging me to leave.
A tall blonde broad?
No, she was the short, stocky one.
Oh, the tall blonde broad.
Why are they begging like their life depends on it?
They make the staff sign non-disclosure agreements?
Yeah, what they do, of course, in order to empty out a resort and make sure that the resort guarantees everybody will be gone by high noon on Wednesday. It used to be Wednesday anyway, until the afternoon of Monday. You have to put a few $100,000 up front. So that now they've already invested a few $100,000 as a deposit. So they impose these terms too. We must have absolute secrecy. Only retain staff you had for 2 years, and staff you can trust, not to say a thing, not report anything. Also, the staff is not supposed to speak to a Bilderberg boy unless he speaks first. So if David Rockefeller says good morning, you can say good morning, Mr. Rockefeller, but do not look him in the eye. All those kind of little rules. So that's one of the reasons staffers seem to turn out and give us all this information.
we assume they confiscate the staff's cell phones before they come in. How many years have they been doing that? Do you know?
Been doing what?
They confiscate the staff's cell phones. I'm sure make them go through T-scans, metal detectors, so that they don't have any bugs on them. Can you speak about how they prevent the staff from perhaps using a cell phone or some sort of a bug to record from within?
I don't know if they force the staff members to turn in their cell phones or not. I'm not very high tech. Part of me is sorry the cell phone was ever invented. If it was not invented, I wouldn't have to carry one.
So after Rockefeller, who would you say would be another big, like, who are the big guys every year?
Well, Rothschilds are still here under the different last name because of marriages, but they're still Rothschilds. In fact, when I first started covering those guys, old Evelyn D. Rothschild was still kicking around. Then he decided to die. One of the best things he ever did in the world. Then he had some other little Rothschild. Then after he disappeared, they had to do some tracing. They traced some last names back to the Rothschild family. So the meeting between Rothschilds and Rothschilds continues after 400 years. You know, David Rockefeller's family name when their family was living, when the family was still in Germany before they immigrated to the United States. 4 centuries ago, in Germany, like a lot of places, your last name was associated with what you did for a living. So they had rye fields. They're called rye fields. Now they translate to English, they call it Rockefeller. But his name is still Rye Fields.
Jim, I actually talked to Lord Jacob Rothschild. It's going to be a video I'm going to be releasing later on tonight.
Is he here today?
I have no idea, but when I talked to him, he said he didn't attend the Bilderberg in years, and that his cousin did. Is that true? Because I do believe Lord Jacob Rothschild is the one who just merged with Rockefeller, his assets. But Lord Jacob Rothschild is pretty much on the top of that family.
Lord Jacob
I
Rothschild.
was wondering if you have any info on him and his attendance at the Bilderberg group meeting.
Well, what we're doing is writing down anybody we can positively identify, and that's for 2 good reasons. Maybe that a newspaper in Europe, a major newspaper, has been a way of threatening, giving this impression. You can release that list of attendees today, and we will have a nice story. You do not release that list of attendees, we'll have another story about you not releasing the attendees, and you will not like that story. So I'm hopeful that we get that list. As I said, the reason we still take names is because, number one, we're not yet 100% sure that we'll get the list. And secondly, when we do that, always there's somebody on the list who's been identified by people out here. At least 2 people out here have positively identified someone, or one of my sources by phone identifies them, who is not on the list. He did not want to be on the list. I remember not so many millions of years ago. Oh, who's that new millionaire? The do-gooder, his wife's a do-gooder. But he was not on their list, but he did attend.
Thank you. Would you say that you're optimistic about the way things are going?
Oh, very much so, because they've been losing. We've been.
There we go.
Oh, like this? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
But it's hard to talk into this and look at your legs at the same time. You give me a problem. Well, as a girl watcher, I'm a general practice. I'm a breast specialist. Jacob Rockefeller, you said.
Jacob Rothschild.
Jacob Rothschild.
Yourself on the media list, you know?
Anybody with media still outside?
You think Obama's going to be here?
But
You think Obama's going to come to the meeting?
probably not.
He's
But
meeting
he'll-
with Geithner at 3 o'clock, which is right about now. So, but Geithner's probably going to be here. Right?
He's a regular.
Yeah.
Be surprised if he's not. Oh, that's a good cover. He's meeting with guys that apparently went home to the wife and children to Berkeley. They normally have a big cover meeting, so that, the presidents are the head of state, or the secretary of state is in this country for this big economic meeting, and he can jump on a plane and fly 100 miles within Bilderberg on Friday and Saturday and Sunday. But they accounted for his weekend because of the economic meeting. Presumably he went back to wife and kids afterwards. Chicken roast, I gotta.
Can you talk about the time you found a listening device in your hotel room?
Yes, I think that was in Georgia, and I was escorted down there. Pardon?
Is this a Jack Lowland?
I promise not to ever reveal their names. They actually drove me down. There are two counter spy types, and they we're staying at the Bilderberg Hotel until the wife out at noon on the following Wednesday, checked in Monday evening. And first we were sent to one room on the first floor.
Oh, okay.
Then got a call after getting into that room. Oh, we made a mistake. You're supposed to be in the other room. Number such such, just a few doors down. Well, okay, haven't even pulled out our other pair of socks yet. So trot down to the other room. And then this guy started, one of these spy types, one of our spy types, one or two is with me, started using this gizmo along the wall. And he pulled, did something with the telephone. Then he turned one of the chairs over, a big stuffed chair over, slashed the bottom of it, and pulled out that eavesdropping gizmo. But he told me to please understand that your telephone is tapped too. And I have to leave it there because if I destroy the telephone, there'll be all kinds of problems. But just know that they're eavesdropping on every call that comes in or out on this line. Okay. So I placed the call, knowing there was being eavesdropped on, back to the newspaper and then the spotlight, and explained that any conversation we have on this line, Bilderberg will know about because they've got an eavesdropping thing in it. I had the other one that showed up in the book was what he pulled out a chair and gave to me as a souvenir. So Bilderberg could listen to me tell them that I knew that the phone was bugged. Then this skinny little gray-haired chap seemed to be everywhere I was located. I go to the pot, he goes to the next pot. I go in the morning, I'm down for coffee and newspapers and breakfast. He happens to be there at the same time at another table, completely absorbed in his newspaper. I go back to my room. He gets on the elevator too, goes up one flight and comes back down. He knows my room number, of course. So I walked into my room, waited a few moments, opened the door, and there he was staring at the door. I said, well, I appreciate your escort service, but I'll be here for a couple hours if you'd like to sit down over there in the chair. And then for the rest of that season, what I give to okay, now we're going to go down to the hotel post office, and then we're going to go to the bar.
Tell him what's that,
Yeah, come with me. And he was with me until high noon on Wednesday, and we're all getting in a shuttle that will take us to another hotel. And I told him goodbye, and he gets on the phone to report in. I take his photograph. Unfortunately, I'm not mechanically minded. The photograph didn't come out. Anyway, yakking on the phone, and off we go. But there's always that kind of security. It just amused me.
Did he have an accent? Was he
Bilderberg kids can be awful cute sometimes.
Do you think they're concerned this year, Jim, about the amount of exposure, the amount of coverage they're getting?
But they're outraged. As I said, it used to be just me. And then, a few years ago, maybe 20 some years ago, we found out where they were so early that our readers in Europe, of course, in those days before this internet jazzaboo, mail to Europe, to mail something to Europe, their subscriptions cost a lot because simply mailing it by air. They tended to have one subscriber who shared it with 20 people who probably pool their money for the subscription. But one of the readers over there said, should we alert the local media? Well, why didn't I think about that in the first place? I said, well, the answer was yes. So it's so much fun to see Henry Kissinger's eyes bulge when he gets off the helicopter from the airport to go to the black limousine. He's bombarded with reporters, broadcasters, and print reporters yelling questions at him. They were just stunned. And it's gotten, of course, bigger ever since. Last year we had more than 1,000 people, which included more than 100 broadcasters and journalists. Of course, not from the Washington Post or LA Times or New York Times, each of which own a lot of newspapers, from small weeklies to small dailies. But they can prohibit word Bilderberg being used in their papers, being covered. We get independent newspapers from smaller towns, or even from some larger towns, but independently owned. Is it done by somebody?
It's Alex, I think.
Oh, Alex Jones?
Sounds like Alex, yeah.
Jim, you wrote in your book, which is fantastic, that Westbrook Pegler first wrote about it in 1957. When did Willis Carto find out about it? Was it decades later in 75? Or
Oh, no.
Right after?
He's worked on it right away. He read Westbrook Pegler's column too. I did at the time, but at age 18 or whatever I was then, it was interesting, but then that was it. It was interesting. But when Carlo read that, he was a friend of Westbrook Pegler.
You learned about it right from Westbrook Pegler in like
Yes,
57, right when that article came
yes,
out?
right in 1957, he jumped on Bilderberg, and maybe about 1955 he established the American Free Press. Yeah, I remember that voice.
Alex sounds tired, doesn't he?
He's so timid, though. If he'd just be more outspoken.
Now, what would you say, in your experience in working with and talking to these people in the New World Order, what, in your experience, what percentage of them are out and out evil versus the people that just think they're doing good?
Oh, there's a few people, excuse me, congressmen and so forth who've been invited, attended, and refused to attend. The most famous being Lady Thatcher when she was Prime Minister of Britain, where she attended the Bilderberg meeting, had nothing to say, and sat silently through, and said she didn't want to surrender any sovereignty to an international organization. And so Bilderberg's strong enough to get a trapeze boy, major or something.
You signed my book for me, Jim?
Sure. Write down how you want it signed and all.
Just sign your name to it. That's great. Or that's fine. Fantastic book, by the way. I recommend everybody buy this book from Amazon.com. Fantastic.
You don't have any copies for sale, huh?
All right.
You don't have any copies for sale, do you?
No, I just have one with me forever.
All right, now, What would you say to people who are wondering, why are they still letting us get away with this? Why are they letting us broadcast? Why are they letting our internet sites expose everything they do?
Because they don't have the power to stop. That independent newspaper guy will tell them to go to hell. And they thought in the 1990s, Bilderberg was confident that we'd be a long way toward a new world order by the year 2002. They were just so confident. They were bragging to each other about it. And that was 12 years ago, and they've been going downhill ever since with the pressure from the all types of media. Congressmen who used to go, not attending now because of political consequences. Certain high officials of the government saying, no, Mr. President, I can't go. This flat from home. So they've been losing ground every year. The European Union may very well fall apart. The euro may be destroyed, although they hope at this meeting to set plans for the New World Order to prevail. It's kind of distracting, but it's fun.
You want to go over there?
Josh was looking for you. You got away.
Yeah, he was looking for you.
Jim Tucker was like the pre-Alex Jones. Like, if you guys haven't read his book, man, there's photos of him in here confronting Kissinger. I mean, just countless people. Richard Pearl. I mean, how many photos are in here, Jim?
I never counted them. But the Kissinger photo is my favorite because I just walked over to this cocktail meeting and cocktail affair, and said, hello, Dr. Kissinger. At the last Bilderberg meeting, naming the exact location and dates, so you know I was not kidding him. This old gray-haired man said this to you, and I rattled off something. Could you tell me what transpired? He was taking so shocked. He spoke in perfect English. That was a secret meeting. He checked himself. That was a secret. Not a secret, no, a private. That was a private meeting. Oh, that was a private meeting. He affects his, it's true he was born in Germany. He affects the German accent because he thinks it distinguishes him in some way. He came to this country fleeing the Nazis when he was 14 years old. His brother, whom I've never met, but people who know him say his brother speaks perfect English. You'd never guess that he was born in Germany. So the fact that he takes such an affectation all these years, well, that embarrassed the hell out of him. You know, that's fun.